This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining us for today's free MAI webinar, How to Make Your Christian Publishing Financially Sustainable with Marcoss Simas. As of today, we have 43 global friends from 16 countries who have signed up for this webinar. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ramon Rocha, sending you spring greetings from Carl Stream, Illinois. Let me remind you that we have both the Q&A and the chat windows available for your questions. Feel free to use either of them. We'll entertain questions towards the end of our session. If you are into Christian publishing, you very well know that there is a healthy tension between ministry and business. You do not want to go to one extreme to the right or the other extreme to the left. You want to have a balance of being a ministry and a business at the same time. And especially at today's many challenges, the publishers are facing many challenges with the changes in publishing and the difficulties that each one is facing in their respective countries. Our speaker today is Marcoss Simas, who is a 28-year veteran of the Brazilian publishing industry. He has served both as acquisition editor and managing editor for Christian and secular publishers, both books and magazine. I first met Marcoss 22 years ago at the ICPI Publishing Leadership Workshop by David C. Cook in Colorado Springs, and that was 1997. Is that correct, Marcoss?
Yes, that's correct. Long time ago.
So we've been friends since then.
We were younger that time.
Let us all welcome Marcoss Simas.
Okay, thank you. So it's a pleasure to me to be here with you. Unfortunately, we cannot be in a more personal touch. So I try to share with you part of my experience. And as said, Ramon, 28 years of working in Christian publishing in Brazil, mainly in Portuguese language. So if you see the idea of this webinar, the proposal is talk about Christian publishing financially sustainable. But you see that I'll not be putting my focus on finance, because I believe that before finance, you have something that's much more important, that is planning. So I'll be pointing with you my thoughts, my experience about planning before financial problem. So that would be my main focus during this time that we're going to be here together. So, and then I'd like to help you to think outside the box, because most of the people that I've been working with, and I've been working with several Brazilian and Portuguese language publishers, and most of the time, these people think that finance is the main problem in a company, and because of this, we are always dealing with this idea of cut costs or cut investments. So my proposal here is try to make you think outside the box, or to know how to use creativity to improve your company, to improve your business, to accomplish your mission in a way that finance not be your main concern. I mean, it's part of concern, but if you do a good plan before all the daily situation of a publishing house, you're going to see that you're going to face this any kind of financial difficult in a better way. So also, this is not a kind of guide for success in publishing. I read about this a couple of times. I listened about this a couple of times, but I don't believe that you can give tips for success in a way that you can just copy and paste what I do here in Brazil or what someone do in the United States or England or any other country. So we have different situations, we have different companies, we have different people working, we have a different economic situation, and we have different history and memory in our company. So the idea is to give you some tips and some thoughts, some ideas that you can just say to yourself, okay, this is good for me. I can take this for my publishing company. So and also because we live in a kind of mix between business and mission most of the time. It's important you define by yourself what will be better for you and your company in your country. So you know, we are in a world that changes are faster and faster, and we know that in most of the time something that's good now cannot be good in 1 year or 2 years. So I try to give you just part of my thoughts just to help you to think about what is better for your publishing house. So my thoughts come from my observations, researches, notes, and all the periods that I worked with companies in different situations. I remember once when I started working at Baptist Publishing House in Brazil, 1997, I was working when I met Ramon in Colorado Springs. I went there because I was in the one that was the biggest Christian publishing house in South America. That was the Baptist Publishing House that time. And the Baptist Publishing House, after years, was with a huge debt of $17 million that time. Then I was looking for ideas and for solution to try to help the Baptist Publishing House and of course the Baptist Church in Brazil, which was the third largest denomination in our country at that time. And then I had to find almost like a miracle solution. So this part of my thoughts today is, of course, I hope none of you have a debt so high like this, because it was a very difficult time for me and for that company. We had about 400 employees at that time, a printer factory, and 20 bookstores. And those were the best bookstores, Christian bookstores in Brazil at that time. So everything is gone now, but we had opportunity to save what was the best for the Baptist Church at that time. So this time that we're gonna have here together, I'm gonna try to share with you part of what I learned. And also, it's important to think that my thought's gonna be for you accomplish your mission, because in my opinion, the huge difference between secular publishing house, as we say here in Brazil, the non-Christian publishing house, and the Christian publishing house is the mission that we have accomplished. Most of the secular publishing house, they know that they need to earn money, they work for money, but they work also for ideology. In many cases, they work to spread their messages. So my focus is also that you can accomplish your mission, because I'm sure that every Christian publishing house and every Christian publisher has a mission to accomplish. So we're going to spend this time together talking about this. I'm a little concerned about all the topics that I have to cover and the time. So we have now 9 topics and average 4 minutes for each one of them. So I try to move and try. I try to use also. You're gonna see me looking my notes to try to follow every step. So my first comment, my first tip is be creative and innovative, because what I've been seeing during these 28 years is that what makes difference in a company is creativity. When you face difficult, creativity is part of the solution, and is the cheaper solution. Normally is the cheaper solution for small publishers, and also for some of the big publishers in the world. Creativity is always important, and my first point is that possible that you can be creative, someone that normally work with numbers or with words. Can you be creative in your own work, or a company can be creative? My perception, my comprehension after this 28 years of work in publishing and Christian publishing industry is that you can be creative. You can be someone that use innovation in your company, because it's not a matter of you be so creative as some, you not necessarily will be someone like Steve Jobs or any other famous businessman that creates something very special, but you can do it as much as would be possible for your own capacity. So the first idea is that, yes, you can be creative, but you have some steps to follow, some ideas to think about. So, but it's very important a company and to be creative. It's very important for a publisher to be creative, because it would be an easier way to face a moment of difficulty. So, because if you are creative, you can be different. So, and we're going to see that there's a huge difference when you are different. I'm not saying that you have to do something completely different in your company. You don't have to reinvent your market. You don't have to reinvent your whole company, your whole business. But it's important you think that creativity is important for you improve and increase your business in some way, and mostly when you face difficulty. So this is the first idea, that you have to train your mind about creativity. I remember my first moment as a book publisher in 1991. So years ago, 28 years ago, I was working with a small publishing house that most of our titles were part of a catalog of a bigger company in Brazil. That time was the Battery Group, Battery that you still have in the United States that works, is a label of Baker. So that time, this small publishing had like, I think there was 10 titles, and our title was part of the catalog of Bethany Publishing House in Brazil. So I saw that most of the readers in Brazil, they liked the preachers, the founder of the publishing house preaching. And we decided that time to record all the preachings and produce from each preaching, or the main preachings, or some of them, make, choosing some special themes. We decide to make this a mini book, or as we call in Portuguese, booklet. It's a mini book with 64 pages in a small size, and that was a huge success because people could listen sometimes, or some of the readers listen to this preaching in a church or on TV, on the radio. That time we didn't have an internet, could be much better today with internet. And then we decided to transform those preachings in mini books, and that was a huge success for us. That was my first experience with creativity. I had a problem, and I had to solve that problem. And the main problem was, what can we publish that could make us to be different from other, So that time, that preacher was a very famous preacher in Brazil. And then we put together a problem with a possibility that became a solution and became a success. So I really encourage you to try to see, to think about what you can improve and do something better and create something for your business. But it's important to take notes of all your ideas. One thing that you're going to see here when I'll be during our conversation or my speech, you're going to see that I encourage you to take note of everything that you do, to make a plan before any action, to write things, to take note all the time. So in terms of ideas, it's very important you take notes. So I always keep with me some files with ideas. Now, for example, I'm working with a Brazilian college, a Christian college in Brazil. Think about the possibility that we could have a Christian publishing institute in Brazil for train Brazilian writers and Brazilian publishers in a very broad way to think about publishing, not only book publishing, but magazine publishing or digital publishing or social media publishing. So I've been thinking about this with this Christian college that is one of the most important Christian colleges in Brazil. And then I've been just taking notes of all my ideas because I know that sometimes I'm in an airplane, I'm in a travel, I'm sitting, watching something or watching some video on the internet, and I just have an idea and I'd like to take notes about this. So also pay attention to other ideas. You're not enough for all ideas that your company can capture and use. And also, you must discuss all ideas with your team because your team is part of the business. And I understand that maybe some of you don't have even a team, but you have friends, you have colleagues, you have family, your wife or your husband, or maybe you can create like board, for your publishing house, and listen other ideas and think about this and discuss, and and you can improve this. You can share with other the ideas, and think that this could be much better if you share and listen the other comments about this. I know that sometimes it's difficult to listen someone say, oh, this that you are doing, you're planning, can be dangerous. But I would say that it's important to listen all the comments that you receive. So I'd like to mention, I'm watching the time, just a second. I'd like to mention also the two specific case that I had with the creativity and innovation of product. One was, you can see the market, probably in your country you heard or you have study Bibles, and you can see the number of sales of study Bibles around the world is really huge. Here in Brazil, we have more than 80 study Bibles that I heard that, talking with a Bible Society director. He mentioned to me that as far as he knows, and as far as I know also, no more than 3 or 4 didn't sell well. But think about it, 95% of study Bibles sells very well in Brazil. But study Bible is a creative solution or a kind of innovation that someone did years ago, 100 years ago, when it was the Geneva Bible. Someone did comments in the Bible, and someone put together the content that normally would be like an encyclopedia, depending on the Bible, or a niche like for men, for women, or for children, or for teenagers. You put together the Bible and comments or notes or extra material. And this is important because using creativity, you can create something new. So someone did in the past, and if you see the numbers here, at least here in Brazil and United States and Spanish language, as far as I know, they have a huge number and huge sales. I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing in your country, in your business, but I'm saying that sometimes you have to think about and think how to create something different and new. And the other opportunity that I had to experiment here in Brazil was 1994. We decided at Mundo Cristão to prepare and produce some Bibles with different covers. That was the time where we're preaching Living Bible. That's a paraphrase Bible, very famous in the US and Brazil, in Spanish and other languages. That we had only 1 or 2 covers, and you decide to create a cover for youth people, for women, and one more generic for men. So, and our sales, that was that time average like 3,000 a year. We increased this for more than 10,000 a year, just because something that we made change. So also, besides creativity, you must be a visionary and a researcher. I like to think that it's important you be always capturing new ideas, new products, and you have to do research, and you must think ahead of other. And how can you do this? How can you look ahead? And because it's important you have formal training, of course, like you're having here, a formal training course, workshops, seminars, and programs or webinars. But also you don't have time for this, or you don't have maybe a training like this every month or in every area that you need or your particular needs. You can go to a casual training. So you can go reading books about this. I'll be suggesting some books in the end of our time. You can read books and articles. You can visit events and see what's going on, what's coming, what's new, what's the movement, what's the trend, what are the trends of the market, international market, or, sometimes you don't see this so close to your country, but sometimes you can see that one. It will be coming and you're not in perception this yet. Let me mention one situation that we are living here in Brazil. Years ago, United States closed some of the main, or closed or just became weak, some of the main net of bookstores. They became weaker if compared with Amazon. I remember the Yale publishing course when I've been there in 2011. Our main concern we had like 45 students that time, spending a lot of money in that training, but most of the people were looking for answer because of the fear of digital world that were coming. That year, Amazon said that for the first time, they sold more digital than printed books through their channel. So people were just afraid about digital. It was coming like a monster, like a tragedy for the market. And then we didn't understand that our worst enemy, the worst changing that was coming, the challenge that was coming was not digital publishing, but online sales. And I remember that we didn't have almost any comment in 2011 about online sales because we're not understanding that passing the years, we could see like huge bookstores group like Lifeway could close almost 200 Christian bookstores just in one decision, one day. Not one day, but the decision was done, and the decision was sent to everyone, and we just stay astonished with the situation. And here in Brazil, we saw the problem with Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and other huge American group of bookstore, but we didn't pay attention about that. And then last year, our two main groups of bookstores just came and suddenly said we have more than $300 million of debt, so we're gonna lose maybe 200 secular bookstores in Brazil just in a couple of years. So, but we could see that something was happening in the United States, but we didn't want to see. We didn't pay attention to that. Our main concern was about digital. I'm saying this was digital publishing. I'm saying this just to remind you that you must be watching all the time and see what's going on with other countries and what's going on with secular market, and see how are the movement going, how are the trends for your market, because you cannot fail your mission. So this is important. You be researching and observing what's going on outside your country. So you can receive also information as newsletters. You can have information by conversation with people. You can receive bulletins. You can read and watch videos on internet. So you have today much more ways to learn about what's going on around the world and even in your country, in your secular market, if would be the case. So it also is important you be part of a publishing association like we have in Brazil. ASEC, you have we have in the United States ECPA, and we have in the Spanish language a CEPA, and I know that around the world you have many associations, group of publisher that can help each other. So, and also you can have a consulting from a company or someone outside your company that can help you with another perspective, because these people or this company normally is not inside your company, so you can see in a better overview what's going on with your company. But also you can see study of case. You can have study of case. You can do it all the time. What happened with this company? Okay, some company was good for a long time, and suddenly just came down. What happened? Just something happened. Nothing happened, from one day to other day. It's not so quick. Another situation that we had here in Brazil was Donnelly printer company. Donnelly just closed the doors in Brazil last week. They had three places with different types of printing machines in 2 different cities and states in Brazil. But suddenly they said, we're just closing. And for the market, for the secular market, the Christian market, it means another huge problem besides the problem with bookstores. So you have less offer of printing with quality, but this was like a tragedy that was announced for a long time, because they were offering very low prices and with still high quality. As maybe some of you know, that Donnelly used to be the biggest in the world for years, and now was the second, I think, and was bought for another group. So they did buy the Brazilian company, but they tried to survive without this, and was not possible. So you can see this kind of case and situation and try to learn about this. I suggest you keep like a diary, like a notebook, and take note about everything that's going on in your market, because you have to review this and remember what's going on and follow the steps and see what you can improve in your company and in your market. So, and then you can share what you receive. What I'm doing here is trying to share what I received in 1997 with David C. Cook, ICPI, friends that I met there. And along this 28 years, I've been learning with a lot of people. And these people, I can learn with them just watching sometimes and having conversation and know what are they facing. So, and be careful with your team is also important, because you cannot work with a team that not feel part of the business. So to have a team, as I mentioned to you, it's not necessarily to have employee or maybe a board, like an official board that be part of your company. But sometimes a team can be relatives, can be your wife, your husband, or friends, or your pastor, or other publishers. You can have, can share experience and help each other. I remember years ago when I started in 1991, I had a friend that still works with Bible Society, Pastor Eude Martins, which was my best teacher for years. I remember that even the list of clients he shared with me, the list of clients of Editorial, which was one of the top 3 Brazilian publishing houses in that time. So it's important you understand that your team doesn't necessarily mean someone that works in the same place with you. Can be someone in other country, can be someone in other city, in other states, and also someone that not work in your own business. But you must construct something or build something, some group to help you to think about the company and the business. So because today a company, a publishing house is like a machine that has to work smoothly. And in a very competitive world like we live today, that not accept mistakes. You know, I know about some Brazilian good publishers that used to be financially sustainable, that because of one or two wrong decisions, they just went to troubled times and never recovered. We can see sometimes with company that decides to put one more line of products or invest in one special product like a Bible dictionary or encyclopedia, or decide to create a bookstore and or or hire more someone for the team. You have to be very careful with your team and your company, because sometimes you cannot fail, and most of the time it's difficult when you fail to recover all the money that you lost. So, and companies like a body in a biblical sense of word, think about this. If you have a good group working with you, even not in the same place and same company, it's much better. I work with translator with about 10 translators, sometimes 15 translators, but 5 of them very close. But none of them live in the same state that I live. They live in Northeast, and Southeast, and some live in other country, and we work together in a close way. So it's important to have like a team more close to work with, and revisors and designers, etc. So you must also identify the difference of each member of the team, and understanding the potential of each one. You don't have to understand this, that this would be easy to do, but take notes, write about these people, and make like a study in this of the group, and think about who if you are planning to hire someone, take notes about what you are expecting of these people. And finally, I'd like, and not finally, but almost finally, I'd like to talk about expectation, because if you hire someone, you have expectation, but the people that's hired, they have expectation also. So be careful, be honest with everyone, including yourself. Don't try to put too much expectation in someone, and try to be honest all the time, talking and having a conversation about everyone that, or with everyone that you hire for your company and that work with you. And also conflicts is also another innovative, something that you cannot avoid. I mean, it's normal you have this, but also being honest and talking the truth is better to face this and win, a situation like that. Also be focused. I know some publishers that don't know how is the market. They just say, I heard things like that. God said to me to start a publishing house. But many people like this never know or don't know how is the market, what's the size of the market, who are the competitors, how big is the market, and so they just start something without any planning. So now we're going to start to talk more about planning. That's one important part of this time that we have here together. So you have to think about, you have to plan before, you have to write things that you're expecting about people, about the business, about competitors. So keep your notebook open and writing about what are your thoughts about your business. Do not go doing only like many do around the world. That's just start to work without any planning. Please plan much more than act. because if you plan correctly, you can act with more safety. So you have to think about the market. You have to think about what you be doing with your business and how gonna be your business before you start the business. And also, if you are in the business and you didn't do that, please start to write and think about your business, to reflect, to talk with people about your business before you face struggle and a more difficult time that normally every publishing house, as far as I know, faces once, at least once. So you have to think about what's your niche. What are your plans in terms of publishing? If you have a publishing plan, if you are planning to publish books for women, for men, for leaders, for self-help in a Christian overview or in a Christian point of view. So what's the niche that you are planning to work? Or if you are planning to work publishing all kinds of books, think about your competitors, think about your market, think about what are they, how are they doing this, if you're doing good or bad, if they having success or not. You have just think about it. You know, my advice is always think about your business before act. Plan your business before act. You are good in this business because I know, for example, that some publishing house, we have a case here in Brazil that there is a small publishing house that decided to publish only Brazilian authors, and they do very well job. It's very difficult to sell international titles for them, use translation and publish as a translation from English to Portuguese. But they have a good partnership with local authors, with Brazilian authors, and they invest in a team that help some main leaders in Brazil, some main pastors or speakers or YouTubers or you know, this kind of personalities. You know, it's not a good name for a Christian leader, but it really happens, at least here in Brazil, in the United States. They are like a personality, and they don't have time to work in a publishing product. So you have to help them. And this small publishing house, they have almost 200 titles, and they do very well with Brazilian authors, helping them to publish their dreams or to publishing their message. So it's very nice to see that against, you know, the style or against, I mean, they always work in a different way if compared with most of Brazilian publishers that always use a translation. And this can be your niche. And I know other publishers that work with organizations that have huge events. They work with organizations which the speakers and the leaders, they have huge events. And this became a case of success also because they found something to do different if compared with a big Christian Brazilian publishing house. So you have to think who is good in something that you are thinking about. Okay, if you have in your country someone that's doing something very well done, be careful if you try to do the same. I see here in Brazil, in the United States, at least in the Spanish market, that most of the time people like to see, oh, this company, this publishing house is doing this, and it's a huge success. Think about the coloring books in the United States like 3, 4, 5 years ago. So you have coloring book and stress book, and many publishers start to do this. And this happened here in Brazil also. It was not something that someone invented, but only copied, which is dangerous. You know, someone did very well and had a huge success in Brazil, and other publishers printed books but didn't sell well because that was not their niche and that was not their expertise in that time. So it can happen. So you have to think about what's your contribution to this market, and think about is your competitive difference. What can I do that can be different in this marketing to make me appeal to the market? You know, I know that you have a mission in your heart. I know that you pray for your business. I know that there's this spiritual thing that covers our business, but you have to think that also there is a part that's not so sacred, I mean, for some people, but it's also a part that we can say that's part of the business is accomplish a mission, but other part is to follow the rules of the business. So my advice to you is try to put the two things together, not see them as something that's not, you know, reasonable to be balanced and put together. Let me see the time. Yes, almost there. I have to run. Organize it. Be organized. Plan, and plan. I'm sorry if you see that I'm insisting in this question. You must be an organized person. So think about what's your business, what's your mission, what's your vision, what you plan for 5 years or 2 years next year, what you want to accomplish. Think about the business. So I put this illustration here to see that you have to use your mind for this. Use your mind for publishing. Use your mind for your business. Don't think only in numbers or words. Use your mind and ask God help for you find your better way to do your business. So my question is, you have a business model. What's the business model? How do you earn money? How you gonna be your business? You're gonna be a business where you only do sales by online market or online channels, or you're gonna have a business model where your publishing house only gonna sell using events as channel of sales, or you're gonna sell still using church. So you have to think about your business model. How you're gonna accomplish your business, your mission, and how you're gonna earn money and be a profitable company. So you have to do also a choice. What's better? Is quality or to be the average? That's an important question, because you can see that many companies, they just work as a business that not are concerned about quality. So you have to think about this. What's the best part of your business? What's the main part of your business? Is quality or only the average? I don't think about quality. I think only about I have to accomplish my mission, and quality is not my main concern. So think about this. And finally, think about to have a business plan. I sent to you a copy of a business plan that I did, I think that 10 years ago, 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, with a friend, Keith Tony Hawker, which is watching us, is part of this group, is attending today. And I think that you can use this as a model, trying to build your own business plan for your business. Because if you have a business plan, if you have a business model, if you understand your mission, if you have a vision for your future, you can plan before finances. You can plan to face difficulties. So let's move ahead faster. Be vigilant with costs, but I'm saying editorial and production mainly, because I know that many companies face difficult with costs, because they think that can print a higher print run, a higher quantity in this title, and this not works well. So think about a possibility to not start doing mistakes since the beginning, because most of the publishers, they don't plan the book, they don't plan the business, they don't think about the business, the book, and they just go and move fast, and they don't think before, and so they make wrong decisions since the beginning. And finally, I saw many situations. I saw one client that said to me, one publishing house, a huge publishing house, said to me last week that they printed one pamphlet, full color pamphlet. They print 100,000 copies. That was a huge mistake. They cannot sell this. They have to give away this. They have to give it free, this product. So this was something that was a mistake that was done since the beginning. Was not some, because most of this time, this not happens along the way. This happens in the beginning of the planning of the product. So think about this. Plan, and write and take notes and discuss and listen people and talk with your team. Think about this. Because you must decide also if you are a good publisher or editor, if you like numbers of letters or words. Because if you have wrong numbers, you can have a bomb on your hands. And the budget must be checked monthly. Is important. In the past, most of the companies around the world just check the budget once a year. But now you have to check almost every week. So, but think about budget. And also, you need to have a spreadsheet for each cost. And I mean seriously, this. Each cost, put everything on paper, on reports, and think about your company. That's my main advice to you. Think about the company. And high quality mean high cost? Not necessarily. Low cost mean low quality? Not necessarily. A printer company can be a supplier only or a partnership. A partnership reduces costs or not. Okay, my advice about this is you can build a relationship with a printer factory or printer company, but you must have elements to analyze if this cost is high or not. I would say to you that in this time where many of the printer companies around the world are facing difficulties, at least here in Brazil, and I know that in America and in Latin America, I would say that if you go to them and make partnership most than a supplier relationship, you can have better cost and better quality, you know. So, but even doing this way, you must have your limit for costs. So be careful and vigilant with costs. Be careful with inventory. This is like a cancer for many companies. I know companies that have a huge inventory that are going to be sold in 20, 30 years, which is terrible because inventory has a cost. So before you think about finance and costs, think about planning. I'm telling you again this consistently. Be careful with your planning before you arrive in a time when you have a huge inventory and this costs very much, and you don't have money to have a good cash flow, to have a good money like a reserve for pay your bills if you face a difficult, since we are facing difficult time here in Brazil. I know that some Brazilian publishers, they have $10 million to receive from this group of bookstores that do not receive. And they have to sell their own personal assets because they have to invest in the company. Because even this market have been growing for 20 few years, they didn't save money for the worst time for a bad time. So now we are facing bad time. And as far as I know, many secular and Christian companies are facing a very hard time in Brazil because they didn't save money for the worst time. So be careful with inventory. Mainly because in many countries now you have a print-on-demand solution that you must think about it. You must think about how important is you think about in print-on-demand. Change your mind and try this, and with some titles, try to see if you can make like a partnership with a company of print on demand company. Because here in Brazil, what's happening now is many publishers, including the biggest publisher, they are looking for partnership with companies that can do print on demand. So you must try print on demand, testing what would be better for your company in your situation. And also the future is digital or not. I can tell you that probably going to be, but not so fast. So the advice that we learned in 2011 in Yale Publishing course was be careful. The main thoughts that we received there was keep doing your job in a printed perspective, but keep watching carefully and starting to do things with digital. In Brazil, digital is about 4 or 5% of the what we call secular market and Christian market together, and not including the government sales that we have a very huge 40% of our sales are for the government, not Christian, not religious books, but secular books. But in average, we are 4 or 5%, if not include the government sales. But you know, it's increasing, or it's growing, but not enough for you to make all your main investment and pay too much attention to that. But keep watching. And here's my last part is be astute with cash flow. You know, I like to use some illustration for this. Well done financial planning that produces a perfect cash flow is like an insurance policy. A safe reserve of money is like a health insurance. Do only what you can do, but always feeling safe. It's like a doctor's prescription. Be careful. Be careful with your cash flow. Be careful with your steps. Sometimes it's better to lose a good opportunity than lose the company. I saw situations where the businessman, the Christian businessman, just lost the company because did not calculate correctly and deeply the risks. Be careful with big steps or with changing the vision, the mission, and the business plan. And don't forget to keep in mind that you must have vision, mission, and business plan to follow. And be wise with the profits. A Christian house has to be profitable, not necessarily, but has to have money, a reserve for safety reasons. Incomings, don't forget this, incomings doesn't mean profit. Quantity doesn't mean profit. If you have a strong inventory, a huge inventory, doesn't mean profit. If you receive a lot of money, doesn't mean profit. Be careful with this. I saw many companies just going down because of this, not because they didn't understand that money doesn't mean profit. Money means that something is happening, but not the result of something. Profit is the result after a lot of work, hard work, like a marathon. To be a book publisher, is like to run a marathon. It's not for quick running. Okay, the profit is a respected brand. More than money, you must have your brand respected for the people. And finally, the most important thing is accomplish your mission. I have just some suggestion of titles that you can go deeper than my speech here. This is one of the most important book for those that are publishers. It's a book more specific for publishers than for editors. I suggest some for editors. I use this book for the last 20 years, I think. I used to teach my MBA classes, which I teach acquisitions of authors and titles, religious market, and also self-help markets for secular publishers. So this is a very important book. You can find this book at Amazon or maybe in your country in bookstore, I suppose. But since it's more a professional title, you can find in AB Books or any other online bookstores. See online is easy. Books for editors, I would like to suggest 5. Now the first 2. This is kind of a Bible for book publishers in America, but also every country has your own maybe style. This is more, I use this like in most of the case when I don't have something that I can use the Brazilian manual of style. We have one Brazilian manual of style. And also this bookmaking is very interesting. It's about production, design, and editing. It's more process, that goes from starting the writing with author and goes to the printing. So it's a very interesting book also. These are more for editors that put the hands on the computer for work with the text much more than other 2. So this is more specific for those 2. Before were more for like a director of publishing or editorial directors and managers. But these 3 are more for those that work typing and editing titles. And finally, for writers, just to help you to improve your writers, the authors of your publishing house. These are 3 suggestions that I have. And thanks for your time. Sorry for my extension of my time, 55 minutes or more. Thanks, Ramon, and thanks to you all.
Oh, thank you, Marcoss. Thank you so much for sharing a lot of your insights and wisdom and experience. Yeah, you have your email address. I think you would like to share your email address to our participants.
Yeah, let me put my next page.
Yeah, so if they have any other follow-up question or something that they would like to discuss with you, obrigado. So
yeah, this is in Portuguese. Thanks.
Okay, so if you're still there, you might want to ask Marcoss a question. So we're open for any of your questions. Yeah, thank you, Marcoss. You're so passionate about the topic. And it's very evident in the way you explained the points. And we just want to thank you for being available for our webinar today. You have so much experience, 28 years, and many lessons learned along the way. And you have so many things to share. Muchas gracias.
Muito obrigado.
Any questions on planning, on seizing opportunities that you see in the market, any question that you might have. Take advantage of this webinar, also the experience of our speaker. You can even ask a question, a specific question, what's a specific challenge that you are facing at this time. Any question from the floor?
But anyway, if you want to send to me a specific question by email, we can talk for a while. If you need, we can talk one day using Skype.
Yes.
I'm available. It would be a pleasure to help you to explain any of your doubts or something that I was not so clear because it was too much to cover, and I was tried to be very clear, but I'm sorry. Normally I teach this in 3 hours, so I had to
trying to fit it in 45 minutes. Okay, Mutoni Mers is asking, do you have any spreadsheets, publishing spreadsheet or templates? So you have a business plan. I will share with them a template of your business plan. So
okay, I can send models of publishing spreadsheet and templates. And let me see now the question here. Tracy. Okay, we can talk. Tracy, if you have a time, I'm not saying today, but we can schedule some time and make an appointment. We can talk using Skype. My Skype, I will send to you my Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk. It will be a pleasure. And I can send you the business plan model, which I did with my friend. I want to give the credit. He did more than me in that time, and I learned a lot with Keith. So that used to be a vice president of Christianity Today International. So no, Bella Victor is asking, do you work with printers or have a press in-house? No. One of my clients the most oldest client that I work almost 20 years is Geográfica. They have the best printer company in Brazil. But most of my clients during this 28 years, they didn't have printer company. But my advice is that always would be hard to have a printer company together with a publishing company because they are two different business. So, and in Brazilian situation, many of those that try to do the business together fail, except Geográfica, which never denied that their main business is printer company. You know, publishing company is not their main business. It's like a complementary business. You know what I mean?
Yes. So it's better to not to have your own printing in your publishing house. Give that to the expertise of the printers. Thank you, Joanna. You're welcome. Yes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Belia. Yeah, Tracy, wait for the business plan model templates. I will share that to everyone. Marcos will send it to me and I'll share it to all of you. And yeah, just look out for my email today. Okay, so any other question? The last statement for me is crucial, said George. Okay. Publishing company versus, yes, it's crucial. Leave the printing to the printing companies. The printing industry is changing a lot, and you will not be able to cope with the investment, right? There's so much money in the machine, so you better focus your energies on your publishing.
And make good partnerships.
Yes, make good partnerships, but you don't have to own your own printing.
Geographica spent $3 million in their last printer machine.
Yeah.
So it's too much money.
That's right. Okay, so I think we, Keith, Marcoss, your presentation has been excellent. Yes, thank you, Keith. Keith is Marcoss's mentor.
Yes, right.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Any parting words, Marcoss? Any last parting words from you before we close our session?
Thank you.
What is your main? I know you have any parting words that you want to share. Just for last few sentences to encourage our publishers.
As I try to say, there is no steps for success. What we have is a marathon for running. So plan, because this is what someone that runs a marathon does. Plans, train, exercise before it goes to the marathon. Because book publishing, in Christian book publishing, is much more. It's a marathon. I mean, that's my first thought. Plan, write.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. God bless you, Marcoss, and more success. And may the Lord continue to use you in your role as a consultant, as a professor, as someone who would like to share your insights and experience to everyone. Thank you for making yourself available. And we also would like to thank our participants coming from all over the world. Thank you for joining, and thank you for joining us live. And watch out for my follow-up email with all the templates and all the other resources that our speaker is sharing with us. So God bless you. We hope to see you again next month.
Okay.
God bless. Thank you.